Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Cactus Patch. I'm your host, Glitch Cactus, but you can call me Cactus. And today we're talking about the high level tournament that was pretty much hyped throughout from groups to the end of the bracket, the Jauntlet. And who better to join me for this event than the host, JJ? So, JJ, tell us a little bit about yourself and how you're doing. Okay, try something now. There
Hello.
we go. Okay, there we go. We should be good now.
Awesome.
Okay, so as you were saying about yourself, uh, and from there.
Alrighty. Well, I basically this is my first comp game. I played like Splatoon since S1,
Mhm.
like since I was like 9.
Okay.
But I've been like this is like my first time like Splatoon 3 was my competitive game. This is my game. Been on my team, Free Flow, for basically my entire comp career. Been on this team for like 2 years. I'm a Umbrella player. Recently, today, got voted into +2, so I'm a little
Let's
bit
go.
good. I was a
Congrats.
little bit good. Thank you. Thank you. But other than that, I kind of just go around, I talk, I have friends, I hang out, I meet people, and that's it. I like lands a lot. Lands are fun.
How often do you try to like go to like how often do you try to go to a land, like maybe locals or majors in general? Like do you have any plan to attend so far this year?
Oh my gosh. Well, I'm going to go to Riptide. I want to go to MomoCon. But there's not really any locals near me, but like I do want to go to more lands. I feel like once I get my bands up, I'm gonna be traveling for real. Like I will be.
Yeah, that's the fun part of it. What was the first lane you ever attended?
My first LAN was actually Gridlock. I
Okay.
went to the first one in 2023 with my team, and we managed to get third place, which is crazy because we were babies. Like this is like pre-low ink era. Like not even like well not pre-low ink, but like pre when before we got banned.
Yeah, yeah, pre-ban
Like
era.
I remember that was so special to me because that Wednesday was my birthday. And we played SOS, stank the bed in groups, but we won Lantern. And then we proceeded to then get third place on land. We're like, oh, we're for sure getting banned. And we did not
Yeah.
get banned.
Dang.
But like, but it was still so much fun. Like it was just so much fun. That's like will forever like be in my heart for real.
No, that's awesome. I mean, some things like that are like they're like milestones in your competitive career, and those are gonna always stick with you, even far
Yeah.
long when you decide to like maybe one day like stop competing.
Mm-hmm.
So you did say that Free Flow was your first comp team. So what kind of drew you to competitive for Splatoon in general, then instead of like how some people just play more casually? Like what drew you to being like I could play this competitively and I can get good at it?
Well, I always wanted to do comp. I just didn't really know how. Like even whenever I was little and like on Splatoon 1, I was like trying to make these like really boo-boo like teams off Amino. Oh, trigger
Oh
warning.
God, Amino.
Amino. Yeah, and then like it just never paid out, but I never knew how to get into competitive. And I think I honestly would have started in S2 if I knew how and if I didn't get a computer. But like still, I really wanted to get into it and I didn't find out how. And I don't remember how I did. But I didn't find out how until S3. And that's like
Mhm.
I was like, I gotta keep going. I always thought I was a stronger player than average.
Yeah. No, that's fair.
So I was just like, yeah, I was like, I want to see how far I can get with this. Especially since this was like my childhood game.
No, yeah, exactly. What was kind of since you said you started in S3, what kind of helped you break into the competitive barrier? Like what was that resource that helped you get into the competitive scene?
I honestly don't remember.
That's fair.
I remember like I don't know. I think I just looked up like Splatoon comp discords and then
Okay, yeah.
maybe the Stronghold came up and
Okay.
then I joined that and then I tried out for one team. Okay, I sort of fibbed. I had one prior team, Ica Inc. That was my first team. I was a sub for them. And then like briefly after, I think I was on that team for like 2 months. And then I was like, I want to see other options because I feel like since I was only a sub on that roster, I wasn't like prioritized as a player. I was like,
Yeah.
I want to see, be on a team as like that player. That's when I found Free Flow. Won't mention their original name, but like Free Flow, and I've just been there since. I've grown with them literally my entire like comp career.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen, at least I have personally, like the growth that your team has had, from seeing when the lowing days that you guys would compete in to then playing more open tournaments, and honestly just really giving a lot of those higher level teams like a run for their money, just from the amount of effort that you all put in together on free flow. So honestly, like the effort was showing and the work was paying off.
I made my team put their puss in it. Like we had to. I made the bust their bust. They probably mad at me because of how much I forced them to play and get on the game and practice and all that stuff. They probably mad at
Yeah.
me.
Force
But
them
I'm
to
just a
actually
passionate
grind.
person, so I had to. Like I can't half-ass anything. I have to like full go.
Yeah, and honestly, that's the kind of mindset I think that's good to have too, because you can, if you do the bare minimum for so long, you're only gonna get as far as that lets you. But if you're really putting in the time, the effort, and the work into it, you're gonna go as far as you can.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
So you did say you're a Brella one trick for the most part. What
Uh,
drew you to Brella the most to play the most?
well, I don't consider myself a one trick, but
Mhm.
I do think my best weapon is
Is
Brella.
okay, yeah, that's fair.
But I think what drew me the most is because I always played tank and like other hero shooters. Like Overwatch, I'm a tank main. Paladins is cool. Uh, it's like anything with shield or HP, I like really vibed with. Like in Apex, I used to play Gibraltar for my team, like my
Hmm.
school team or whatever. So like anything with shields, I thought was really cool. But like I also don't like slow things.
Yeah.
So like I like the Brella class because of they had a shielding mechanic, and I used to play Tent a little bit just because it was like the only quote unquote good Brella. But like it was just too slow of a weapon. I feel like Splat Brella like was just the perfect weapon for me. It was like
Hmm.
fast, it had the shield. I felt like I could do a lot of cool things with it, and like its kits were really fun. And like I played a little bit of it in S2 as well, so it's not like it was the most familiar one out of all of the three Brellas whenever the game first came out.
Okay. Yeah, no, that's fair. So it's more Splatoon 2 is when you kind of started into it. Splatoon 3 is when you kind of really um pushed to learning more about that weapon class in general and really honing in the skills on it.
Yeah, I think that's right. Yeah, like S2, I pretty much just like I just knew it was a thing. I remember trying to
Hmm.
play it on a hotspot in my car when it first came out, and then that didn't work. But then outside of that memory, I kind of just like did whatever in S2. But
Hmm.
S3, I was like, I need to have a weapon that's mine, an identity that's mine. So I was like, Brella, you and I are gonna be best friends. Like,
It's always good to find a weapon class or even just a weapon in general that you like to enjoy when it works, obviously, right? Because there's,
mm-hmm.
those issues with Brella.
Yeah, sometimes, every so often,
Yeah.
especially with my internet. Whew.
As long as you're not skating around the maps, I think it's fine.
See, I wish it worked that way. I'll just get booted out the lobby.
So I do want to switch gears here to the reason we brought you here is the Jauntlet. So what sparked the idea for this event?
Honestly, it was supposed to be something really small.
Okay.
So, to kind of like explain it, I plan to run three major projects this year. And the Jauntlet was supposed to be just like a baby step to fund another project that
Okay.
I won't exactly explain at the moment.
Yeah, no worries.
But like I give all them code names 'cause I thought that was so cool. This is the code. The Jauntlet was code named Promo, and like the whole idea is like it's just supposed to be like the just an event that helps highlight what's gonna come later.
Hmm.
Like it's kind of it's just started. It was supposed to be really small, but like as more and more started to come, the scope started to go further. I started to like want to do more with the project itself.
Yeah.
So it ended up like just becoming way bigger than I thought it would ever be. So, but like I'm really happy about how it turned out. So that's kind of how it panned out to be this way.
Yeah, and the Jauntlet wasn't like a invitational, was it? It was like anyone could like sign up as long as they were a certain skill level.
See, that's the thing. It was an invitational actually,
Okay.
because I one I got people I don't like in this community sometimes, and I don't just want random folks to just join in.
I get that.
One
That's
of the
fair.
biggest,
Yeah.
yeah, like, and also I feel like since I wanted to, it originally was gonna be smaller. I
Hmm.
wanted to be able to control the environment better,
Yeah.
and if I know the teams that are signing up, then it's easier for me to know who's on a roster and handle it that way.
Yeah.
That was one of the reasons. Another reason why it was an invitational was because I really wanted to cater towards like those teams. I feel like you get a bunch of pickups, you get 4 folks, they can sign up. But like I feel like I care about teams. I've been on my team literally entirety of Splatoon.
Yeah.
So I wanted to make sure I give those other teams that I kind of grew up with, or the teams that are strong, or the teams that need to come, like that want that practice. I wanted to give them an opportunity to have almost like an event to play for, a way to show off themselves, something to fight for, things like that. So that's why I really wanted to make sure I invited strong, higher level teams that would put on a show too. Like these teams are
Yeah.
entertaining, and I'm glad they did. Whew.
Yeah, I mean the tournament itself as a whole, for maybe anyone that wasn't available to watch it or tune in, like whether it was group stage, whether it was bracket, no matter what point you tuned in, these games were they were exhilarating. They were high packed, like fighting constantly. You had so many sets, both in groups and brackets, go to the full best of threes or best of fives, the whole way out. Like all these teams really brought their A game. And I imagine that's what you were hoping what would happen when you invite all of
Oh
these teams.
yeah, like seeding the event was extremely hard because I'm like, literally any of these teams could win. Like
Yeah.
any team there could have won the event if I'm being fair. And then I was just like, that's why originally I was gonna format it as double elim, but I was like, I don't know, I'd be mad if I played a tourney that was double elim and like we just got hoed the entire time. I'm like,
Hmm.
and it's like with these teams being so equal in skill level, I wanted to give them all one equal opportunity for practice,
Hmm.
and then two, like a second chance. So I think that it was like I'm glad these teams really like it was just so hard. It was so much. It was so much.
What was it like planning this event? Because you said it was an invitation and you were inviting these teams out, and I think it was again
Mhm.
really good idea too because one, it gets established teams out there, especially in an environment right now where we don't have a lot of established teams. It's just a very annoying pickup culture. So what's it kind of like planning this event with like maybe scheduling and the timing? In general, did you have any help, things like that?
Well, it was kind of I had a lot of help actually.
Okay.
I got really lucky. A lot of my teammates and like people that I like hang out with often are very, very like active when it comes to production and tournament organizing
Oh
and graphic
yeah.
designing and all these things. So like I had to use my team a lot. Like Jordan was a major asset in helping me just understand how to run an event. I remember at first I had reached out to Red as well to get some help when it came to just managing the platform Sendo Inc. It's just figuring out all these things. I really did. I wasn't shy to just go to my friends and
Yeah.
ask them for their help. But when it came to just planning things out, the only thing that was hard was just being disciplined and doing it myself.
Hmm.
Outside of that, it was pretty smooth sailing. I invited the teams a month in advance from the event, gave them like 2 weeks of like downtime, asked them about the maps, are they cool with the maps? So that map list was they gave me the go ahead to run those maps. So I hope
Yeah.
I didn't want to hear no tears. Okay. And then gave them a little prep time before the tourney started, check-ins, all that stuff. I checked in with them regularly, got all the information I needed. It was like really easy actually.
No, I mean it helps when you're able to be so active with it and let's just have the experienced help around you. But
Hmm.
also that is a first to hear that like it was most of the teams were very communicative because I feel like at some point there's like a threshold where teams start to just get impossible to contact.
No, yeah, like I be getting nervous sometimes whenever I'm like, oh yeah, it's anytime. You could just hit me up whenever, and then they start really using that whenever,
Yeah.
and I'm like, oh. They just need to be kind a little bit. But no, every team is really responsive. Like they were really good at communicating back with me, getting back to me whenever I needed something like urgently. Going to me when I didn't know about things, like just figuring out different things. I'm just gonna talk about like whenever all the pulley band stuff happened and finding out like Cannon had reached out to me. He was like, "Hey, do we have to find a sub? Cause XYZ teammate got banned." And I was
Hmm.
like, wait, you got banned? I'm like, what happened? Because I didn't even know. It was just like things like that. Like they were really quick to just go to me if they had any questions. I was almost figuring it out with them as they're figuring it out with me.
Yeah.
But I also feel like just it being an invitational and them all knowing me and I knew them, it made communicating with them much easier.
Hmm.
So We need more invitationals, if we're being frank.
No, for real, because like open tournaments are okay, like, but we just have too many. We have too many. Like
Mm,
bring back the rivalries. Bring the teams that like you want to be able to see that you know are gonna actually do well and not just randomly pop in and get O2'd and then be done out of the
right, like we
tournament.
need the stories. We need the stories, the
Exactly.
storylines. Like I feel like not to like be one of those old heads, but I felt like my generation had so many stories and legacies and all these things that like people would look forward to. And then they just like, I'm not hearing nothing from anybody else. There's no buzz. So it's just like I don't want to think that it's because I'm just not tapped into those communities. I want to think just because they kind of fizzled away whenever like teams started disbanding from my generation. But
No, absolutely. Like I like to think of it like after the first year or maybe the first year and a half of Splatoon 3's lifespan, it's just when things started going downhill where, a lot of teams start disbanding, a lot of teams just aren't playing enough anymore. They're like no one's really entering in these tournaments because a lot of people are now switching to making tournaments and it's like you got
mhm.
13 tournaments on a random Saturday in July that's just going to be the rest of your day. It's like, okay, like so much
Right.
for
Right.
that.
You're like, okay.
Yeah. Um, did you want to play in your own event? Did that ever cross your mind?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I was gonna rig it too. I was gonna get my team seed one. I'm not even I'm just like, I would love to play in my event one day, but I also have to realize like another purpose of this event was so I can get practice with tournament organizing. So I was like, let me
Okay,
just
yeah.
lock in, figure out what I have to do, get the like, figure out all the like nicks and crannies that I have to do,
Mm-hmm.
and then maybe I'll play later.
Yeah.
But my team was going to play in the event just without me. But like I would love to play in this event. I would. I would. Maybe one day if it just runs itself or I get somebody to take my spot.
Yeah, someone to be just the TO for the day, just so you can
Yeah.
not have to stress about wearing to make sure everything's gonna run smoothly.
hmm But I got lucky though. Like the event basically ran itself. I didn't really have to worry about too much of like, oh, this team has this issue, this team has that issue.
Mm-hmm.
Because I feel like a lot of teams when they know what they're doing, they've been in
Yeah.
this game before. Like I didn't have the DC rule on stream. Like I remember a team disconnected on stream, I think, and they just knew what to do. They just
Yeah.
knew what to do. I didn't have no rules posted. I was like, y'all know what to do.
Yeah.
Like that, right? They just knew what to do. It really just ran itself. Like I'm so happy it went so smooth.
And that's one of the pros of Invitational too, because you're inviting teams who are experienced and they know what's going on. Like if anything happens, they're like, "Yeah, we got it. Like we're chilling." So I
Hmm.
imagine the help desk had to have been crickets.
It really was. Like it really was. Like nothing really happened. Like honestly, there's only a few issues at the start of the tourney, and it wasn't even like anything serious. Just mostly like teams dropping XYZ, figuring out like sub roles, captain XYZ, this.
Yeah,
So it's just like after as soon as I hit the start the tourney button, it literally ran itself.
oh, that's perfect. That's every TO's dream right there.
I think I got a little bit lucky, but can't
um,
complain.
yeah, exactly. Did you have any hopes for their event while you were like in the like doing the planning process, like before the event started? Did you have any like major hopes for it?
Honestly, no. Honestly, I my expectations for this event were relatively low.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like because my vision for the project was started off differently than just trying to run a pretty it was just a large event. My expectations were like different, or my standards were different. So I feel like when I came into it, I was just kind of just waiting for the result rather than hoping for an outcome.
Yeah.
So whenever it planned, like the tournament panned out, it was crazy. It was honestly surreal. Like I was having a watch party in my team server,
Mm-hmm.
and we were just wigging out the whole time. Like it was for real. Like it was crazy to just be a part of this. And hell, it really. I wish if I were hopeful for this, I think all my hopes would have came true, which is like the cool part about it.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And that's funny. That was gonna be like my follow-up question is how you feel it went. And I mean, obviously like amazing from what I'm telling.
It literally went insane. Like everything was perfect. Tournament organizing was perfect. I didn't really have to do much. Like the teams ran itself. I like, oh my gosh, I could just ramble about it all day. I really could.
I mean, hey, that's what we're here for, right? To praise this event. Was there anything that you learned from running this event um, that you're gonna take with you for the next events you plan to hold in the future?
Honestly, just being more specific about time rules,
Hmm.
like not tournament time rules, but like my own personal deadlines,
Okay, yeah,
and then understanding the risks. I feel like I wanted to run the tournament mostly so I could all the risks and the worries I had planned out. I wanted to experience them so I could learn how to handle them in the future. And I feel like running the event really helped me just
yeah.
to figure those out. And the last thing I learned was production is confusing. Like when
Yep.
I tell you I'm a visual person, so whenever Jordan would tell me about production and like all these different things that they would have to do, I'm giving him crickets, just staring him dead in the face, just so confused, deadpan. I'm like, what are we talking about? But I feel like once I did get a good grasp and hold of how production worked,
Hmm.
it'll make my future really easy.
Yeah, no, I get that. Like it took me like especially with this podcast, like they were shout out Pinky and Alice from Dapple Production, but like I still remember some of the DMs I was getting from them about how like to download everything and set up all the files. And I just remember looking like you gotta YouTube how to.
Hmm.
Like this is
No,
like
but
crazy.
it really is a lot. Like it's way more confusing than you think it'd be. Like I don't know, especially since I'm not a tech literate person at all. Like
Hmm.
I first just got my PC and I just click and go. Like
Yeah.
so to talk about Sheets.io and like other things like that. I'm like, girl, what are we doing? Like what am
Yeah.
I looking at?
What is all this? What is this about? Like, especially like if you don't know OBS, it's like, what do you talk about? Like this upload bitrate
Right.
speed? Like, what is that?
Like bitrate. Like I don't know what that is. Anywho.
So, did you see or notice anything from your event that maybe you want to see from other events out there, or maybe events that could be made in the future? Um, that your event did so well, or that was really enjoyable to watch?
Um One, I feel like a lot of the things that my event did were very unique to my event. So
Hmm.
I feel like it's hard for me to be like, I think XYZ thing or group should do this thing.
Hmm.
But what I do really want to highlight from the event was just the overall vibe and style was different.
Hmm.
I feel like it being an invitational, which isn't that common,
Yeah.
it being catered towards a specific group of players that, because I feel like other tournaments that do that are usually lower level or they're still open. I feel like this being an invitational, but it's not being a top level invitational,
Yeah.
is like it made it unique in that sense. It being a team only event also made it more unique in that sense too. So I do think I want to see more groups of people cater, like different orgs or groups, just cater towards teams, cater towards not just like lower level teams, mid level teams, because I feel like we have tournaments that kind of do that,
Yeah.
but higher level and even top level games, because I feel like those avenues are pretty untapped potential, and I feel like there's a lot of players that would want to see that, a lot of groups of people that would want to see that. And to just overall boost the scene as a whole, we have to go from the bottom and up. It can't just
Hmm.
stop at one level. So I think to answer that question, I would really like there to be more involvement of teams and highlighting teams in the community.
Yeah.
Because I feel like people aren't rewarded to be on a team.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the only thing I feel like most teams like back then when they were first around was like the Sendu badges, right? It's like when
Hmm.
those teams would be around, it was like, our accomplishment was, obviously way back when in S2 when like low ink was really popping off, was like, oh, like I could get banned from low ink. And then you had the occasional majors that they would draw, like online majors, where it's like you could really try to show your stuff there. Ludi used to be like, somewhat more exciting because you had all these teams that you would watch in other events play more
Hmm.
consistently, especially with the help from Splatoon Tourney. That was really helping highlight a lot of like statistics with a lot of these
Yeah.
events. And now it's like you could just form a pickup playing a tournament and you're gonna get 35 new badges for it. It's like
Yeah, it's like lame. It's just
yeah.
lame. Like if I'm being straight up, I think pickup culture is kind of lame. Though I mean it's needed for practice, but I do
Hmm.
think it's just lame overall. And I feel like if more teams were rewarded and highlighted for being a group, a team, like a consistent unit, then I feel like overall the community would shift to like be better.
Yeah.
That's what I think. But
Yeah, I think that's honestly a valid opinion for that because we don't have that many teams right now, and with Ludi coming up, you have so many people that are either reforming previous teams or forming new teams, and the hope's it's really like an endless cycle. We're just gonna hope that most of them will stick out, but they probably won't stick out.
mhm.
It'd be nice if
Right.
they did though, if like um following what you said before is like if we're able to maybe push for more invitational-esque type of events. I mean, that might be incentive for more teams to want to stick around, especially after Ludi, where it's like, you know what? I have a chance at a run back if it's an invitational, and like if these teams are going to be all invited. I lost them in Ludi, like I could get my run back and run it again in this separate tournament that's going to highlight that.
Right. That's the thing too. It's like when people feel I feel like when there's an incentive to playing, people will want to play.
Yeah.
I got really lucky that a lot of the teams I invited just wanted to participate.
Hmm.
And I think people act like people don't want to play the game. And
Yeah.
I think like that's not true. I think genuinely if more people were to form teams or have a reason to form a team, people would care more about the people that they're around and then they would try and grow with people. And I think that's just overall what needs to happen for a team play to just get better overall and the community to get better, in
Yeah.
my opinion.
Absolutely. It's got to start somewhere, right? Like you can't just,
Hmm.
assume that you're going to, form a team one day and then the next day you're going to beat all these pickup culture groups. It's like it takes time. I mean, that's why like in the top level, like for example, Moonlight or Black Lotus, they're like the last two real, top level teams that have stuck around for so long. I know recently we got Vanguard, but um,
Right.
like you have to form that team and commit to it before you see those results. It's not going to be an instant result for you when you just decide to form a team. And Vanguard so far, I think they've been showing themselves well. They've done good fighting against Moonlight. They've done good against fighting, Black Lotus. Their goal, I imagine now, is just to try to own the top and really try to force that team culture to start forming. And if it's
Yeah.
not, I hope it is because that could really start surging things if they keep competing in these events.
Yeah, I hope so too. I'd love to see more teams just overall. Look, you don't know how hurt I was when Osmosis disbanded. Like that was gonna be my top level team. Like
Hmm.
that really was. But I would really like to see just overall people grouping together, finding their clique, and then climbing the ranks with them.
Yeah.
That's like all I want. And I want to try and best support that.
Yeah. No, absolutely. What would you say your favorite moment of running this tournament was? If there
Well, I
was
think I
one.
have, yeah, all of it was so much fun. But like, I think I have two.
Okay.
I really want to talk about the commentators.
Okay.
Y'all were funny. Y'all were so funny. Like I gave y'all the green light to just go and do whatever you want, and some apples took a whole buttload of chances and just did whatever they want.
Yeah.
Y'all made it
Stormy.
so fun to watch. Yes, Stormy. But it was just like y'all made it so much fun. Like when Stormy just started popping off in Goji in grants,
Yeah.
I was like, what? Like you're not supposed to do this. Like you're not. But like I feel like that's what made the event special. It made it unique. I
Yeah.
didn't want no whack ass tourney that just has generic commentary. I want it to be very unique, special, fun, entertaining.
Yeah.
I was hooked. Like
Yeah.
I was like, oh my god, Div, what are you talking about? Like what are you saying? Like genuinely, y'all made the tourney itself. Like y'all really brought life to it. So
Hmm.
thank you, Cactus. Thank you.
Thank you for the opportunity, honestly. Like when you came to me for it, I was like, let's rock this out. I'm gonna treat it like a LAN. I'm just gonna go hype. Let's just like go do it at like Big Dapple. Like when I'm on commentary,
My
my voice is
word.
shot. So I'm like, I'm treating it the same way. And
Y'all
being with
really
Stormy
made
did
it
it.
awesome. Oh, it's y'all's parent is crazy. Y'all's parent is crazy.
Oh my god, it's
And
it's gonna be a mistake if he invites me back for hood commentary. All I'm saying.
oh yeah, oh, I don't know, I'm scared. But and the second thing I want to highlight is just the team streams.
Hmm.
Each individual team that streamed, I'm so grateful for that. Seeing the different POVs of players that played, but I do really want to highlight this, not to like somber the mood, but I really want to highlight Karma's stream.
Hmm.
It was like such it was so much fun. 7 hours of just straight just content.
Yeah.
And like he did predictions of the event, who we thought was gonna get to top cut. His run was so much fun to watch. Like honestly, it makes me sad to think that like his last tourney run was my event,
Yeah.
but like I'm so glad that like he made it so much fun to watch. Like not just the mainstream, his stream is stacked as fuck.
Yeah.
And like it was like everybody was here for it. And I'm just like I really want to highlight the streams, and specifically like Karma's stream was probably the second most like one of the second favorite thing. Not to like order them, but like one of the my favorite
Yeah.
parts of the event.
Yeah, and it really gives like an insight to that team's personality. It really shows you the
Yeah.
culture they have within themselves and how that really could just branch out into a community they build. And that's why you see like, I always like to give the example for Moonlight because, make one tourney run and whatever the result is, you just see a lovely outpour of like support and care and so, sometimes some fun like jabs at them like when they went on like a 3 to 4 in a row second place streak, but
Hmm.
it's just it's that enjoyment of seeing like these players, especially for a player like Karma who's always just so joyous to watch and be in those streams for, and just especially their teammates too, from the cafeteria, like they just help bring and make things so lively.
Yeah, like they genuinely felt like I'm not gonna act like I knew Karma for real, but like
Hmm.
being in that stream, I felt like family in there.
Yeah.
Like hearing Brendan, Soda, and Milk, like they all just talked, like it was so cool. And like it's crazy that how much life just the community can bring to one single event. I didn't think anybody was gonna do predictions of my attorney. I didn't even
Yeah.
think the tourney was gonna be this big. To see people prepare for it, it was just like I just really wanted to highlight that.
Hmm.
Like it's awesome to just see the community come together like that. It was really cool.
Yeah, and I mean, all it takes is one person to put something together that lets this bloom that's been kind of circulating for so long that just hasn't really found a good spot to bloom, and that was for this case, this was you in your tournament with the Jauntlet. There was so much. I don't know what word I want to use. I guess blandness, right? With all these just open
Hmm.
level tournaments, all these random tournaments that keep popping up, and it's like they're fun to kind of enter once in a while, but when you put these certain teams together and mix them together for an event, and you're gonna get fireworks left, right, and center, and you don't want to look away because if you do, you're gonna miss something good.
Hmm. No word. I feel like a lot of these turnings are just the same shit. Like they're
Yeah,
just the same shit. And I feel like when somebody or something brings something new, I feel like everybody put their eyes on it. And I'm glad to like give that opportunity or put that like thing in the put that stake in the ground
yeah,
to like maybe build something up to have more events that have that creative purpose that bring up something more than just sendo tourney with
yeah.
badge, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's more purpose behind it than just that, and it gives people though something to want to shoot for too. Like it's I don't think I don't really personally remember if any event in the past that's ever kind of aimed at high level. Not the top of the top level, not the mid level like Gremlin area of the community, but like just that spot of teams that always compete in those open tournaments that other top level players fight in, and they get like 0-2 or 0-3 because obviously the top is the top for a reason. But
Mhm.
an event dedicated for those teams to show off the skill level they have and how strong that skill level in the community is.
Yeah, there's nothing to sleep on.
Mm-hmm.
Like they might get stomped by top level, but they're not bad. Like they're high level for a reason. They will stop you. They will surprise you. They will do things that you won't expect them to do. And
Mm-hmm.
I feel like we really need to put a spotlight on these groups of people because you're gonna be your top level players.
Yeah.
They will. They are the bottom of +3, +2. They are in those groups, those areas. Maybe not even in like fresh out of low ink, even like SAC winners, things like that. those are the people you want to cater to get into top level so that you can have more players and more teams. You want to I want to focus on those groups of people.
Yeah.
I feel there's a lot of areas that are getting like a lot of attention, and I feel like that area of people has little foundation, and I
Hmm.
really want to find a way to better establish and aid those players.
Yeah, no, give them something to really be highlighted for it instead of just being told like, cool, you're banned from low rank, you've competed in enough SOSs, and you're chilling on plus server. That's like really theoretically, if you look at the timeline, that's just what it feels like their end of their story is. It's like plus server, and
Right.
maybe if you break out, congrats, you're top level. But it's so rare to see players break out of that high level into top level area, because all there is like from what the community knows it as is just the plus servers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like it kind of is just like that. I feel like it's not a joke when people say like you win low ink then you disband. It's because there's nothing after that.
Yeah, no,
There's
exactly.
nothing after that. And I feel like if you do find something after that, it's very short lived.
Hmm.
So there needs to be something that can actually like give people something to look forward to. That's what I think. That's what I think. Anyway.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Makes it worth continue to play as a team together and not fall doomed to the pickup culture.
Right, because like if there's nothing for a team to play for, what are they gonna do?
Yeah, exactly. Besides just play the game and try to just get mechanically better.
Right. Hop on for Splatfest. Like, okay.
Thank God it's over.
Right.
Finally gone this weekend. So, did you have any favorite sets that went on during the Jauntlet? I know the whole thing was exciting, but was there ever one like set one team two teams that maybe went to against each other that like you enjoyed the most of seeing?
Honestly, it's so tough to say because I love the whole event.
Yeah,
But
that was kind of a
to
hard
kind
one.
of right. But I do really want to highlight some specific sets that I noticed that I feel like maybe even gotten undershadowed, maybe they weren't on stream, but things I really want to comment on that could honestly like people need to look out for.
Hmm.
Like I think we need to look out for Loxay. Loxay versus Honkai in groups, they took that game. And Honkai was our turning seed one. So for Loxia to be seed 9 and to win 2-1, I was like, this is a Loxia day. I was excited. Like it was crazy.
Yeah.
And not to mention, didn't Loxia just win SoCali? Oh
Yes.
yeah, we need to look
Yes.
out for them. Like that's just starting there. Let me think about another set. Um, Bonsai played on stream. They whipped Hornet whipped out that red clash. I was like, what's going on? And oh my god, that was AK Ping. And AK Ping ended up winning that set. That was crazy to me. I was like, oh, y'all are really putting on a show for me. Like y'all really doing a lot. Can't can't just not talk about Grands.
Yes.
Grands was crazy. The hype was there. Lego Fortnite put on a show. Alley Games might be meta. Oh my god, that's the go. And it was just so cool to watch. Oh my gosh, Shiny's Wellstring. They had haters in the chat, but like still, we gotta admit, Wellstring and Grants is kind of cool. Like that's what I also think. Like just it was so cool to watch. I also got to talk about Pinpoint. I'm so sorry I was not familiar with their game. We gotta stop underseeding them from now on. They say it's so low key, but then they literally oh my gosh, they just stomped. They just stomped.
Yeah.
Like it's just crazy. The only other team to beat our seed one outside of Loxay was Pinpoint, and they were seed 14. I severely underestimated the game, and it's just crazy to see. So those are just what I really wanted to comment on
Yeah.
throughout the event.
No, absolutely. I mean, it's so rare to see some teams that like for so long you see them compete in other events and like maybe they don't get as high as like you feel they're going to, but then you put them in this kind of atmosphere and everything changes. The chains are off. They're going crazy.
Right. Like they got bills to pay. Rent is due. They
Yeah.
gotta win.
Exactly. So, what does the future hold for the Jauntlet? I know you did say that you do have kind of like a um three event project, in the works, and theoretically this was number one. But I know I feel like you said like some things that kind of changed with how well the Jauntlet kind of ran. So, what's the future look like for it?
Oh, well, I do want to run it again. It
Okay.
will happen again.
Yeah.
That's one thing for sure. I hope that the quality of the event will become better. I want to better highlight the teams like
Hmm.
individually. So that's something I really want to improve next time. I think I did really good at just announcing this was a team only event, but I really want to kind of take a page out of SAC's books and actually give a spotlight on these teams. I don't know how I'll do it in a unique way, but I will look
Hmm.
into that. I want to run this event maybe every 2 months. So I say bi-monthly. So not like twice a month, but like every 2 months. So I
Yeah.
feel like not to say it will happen, but if I were to run this event again, it'd probably be in March.
Okay.
So it gives me time to keep up with the teams that are still formed, that are here, learn about new teams, figure out who I want to play, who I want to not, who might be banned, establish a more defined, like, you're too strong for the event, you're too weak for the event. It'll help me like actually establish these like different guidelines more.
Yeah.
And other than that, I feel like it'll give me time to like prepare everything fully. So I think that's why. And also with Ludi coming around the corner, hopefully more teams form. So
Hmm.
it'll be able to me to look at those groups and be able to pick and choose who I think would be a good fit for the event.
Yeah, I feel like the like this run of Jauntlet really gives a good insight on the type of um I don't want to say skill level, but the I guess the type of teams that you're really looking to add to the event. Well, both returning maybe to compete again to another event for it, or any new teams that pop up because of Ludi that would be a good addition to it. And also like, because did you have a cap in mind when you were making the event, like a team
Uh,
cap?
like like for skill level or for like how many teams?
More of like how many teams?
Okay, I was thinking about keeping it like around 20. Like
Okay,
I was
yeah,
like,
yeah,
I feel like 20 teams is like enough where like I can manage this. It gives a lot of like it gives me a lot of like foundation, a lot of like people to like, just a lot of stuff to happen. Like it'll be a full-fledged tourney. So I feel like I'd keep it between 16 to 20 teams. I feel
yeah,
like if it's two more, that's a lot for me.
yeah. That's
And
fair.
Mama don't got all day. And if it's too little, it's just like, is it really worth running the type of event that I'd like to run? I feel like it can be, I just don't think it's worth it at that point, if that
Yeah.
makes sense.
No, that's fair.
But
Honestly, I wish more
yeah,
TOs had that mindset that you got.
yeah, like
Because how
I
many
think
teams are you gonna
16 to
have like
20
under
teams.
10 that you're gonna keep running that event?
Right, like 10 teams, let's go ahead. That 16 tourney that will be going in the result book. That will.
Put it on with highlighted tourney run results on your sender page.
Oh, yup. Uh-huh. Had to make sure. But I think 16 to 20 teams, dipping in from both like NA, EU, like and like just trying to, you know, keep it just small, compact. I feel bad because I remember I posted about the tourney on Blue Sky, and someone from Paradigm Starfish was like, "Dang, I hope one day we could be recognized for events like these." I was like, "I knew about y'all, Pookie. I'm sorry. I'm sorry." Like I did, but I do want to make sure it's fair so that
Yeah.
I am get new talent in because the whole point of the event is to highlight new teams as well, but
Hmm.
then also make the returners feel like they're defending a title.
Yeah.
And I want to make sure like it has a good mix of both. I feel like by the time the next Jauntlet I host, it'll I'll make sure I like balance it fairly well.
Yeah. I mean, sounds solid to me. I mean, you sound like you pretty much got most of this figured out, which is fantastic because I just so most I feel TOs after have to run a couple events before they really got a good idea. But I think it helps that you've had a lot of help on your side. You've been asking the right questions, and I personally have no doubt. Like if the way the first Gauntlet went, I mean, I'm sure from here on out, like it's gonna be a fantastic event. More eyes for sure.
Yeah, I'm excited. Like I really am. I feel like this could be something like big. Like I
Hmm.
think this could be big, and I feel like I just gotta try my best to um give it the hope and vision that it needs to be able to be that big event.
Yeah,
So
absolutely. I mean, you're already hitting the nail on the head by hitting a area of the competitive community that doesn't get a lot of love. So you're already starting off strong there, and I can only already imagine the amount of teams that might be coming in from Ludi this season, or even the fresh teams out of low rank that maybe like are starting to rise the ranks in other open tournaments like SOS or anything. Wanting to probably aim for your event.
Hmm.
So, with that being said, those are all the questions I personally had for you. So, is there anything else you would like to say or add in regards to this event or any future ones you plan to hold?
Real. I really just want to say, look out for more future projects from me. This is not like an end. This is just the beginning. And I feel like I will try my best to give higher level teams like a home. I want to try and give them a platform, something to look forward to, and better prepare them for top level. Because
Mhm.
I feel like a lot of us have that goal to reach there. So I want to find a way to better enable us to get there. But be on the lookout for more projects and other events ran by me.
Awesome.
Um,
I mean, feel free to also, shout out anything else you'd like, anything, yourself as well. Like, where can we, follow you to, find out more about these events that you're going to be, coming up with soon?
yeah, I'm JJ on everywhere that matters. That's JJAEIGH. Um, I want to shout out all of my teammates. I want to just go down the list, starting off with Jorian. That's the GOAT. Blue, Cakes, Shins, Parks. I'm so grateful for all of them. I feel like if they weren't there to help me, it would be like so much harder to run this event. Like starting from nowhere with no experience, having a support system like that is crazy. I want to shout out Len as well for helping with a lot of the illustrative work and like just helping all the people with the vision on the team. Sasu, oh my gosh, I'm so grateful for them, keeping me centered and refocused because I can think a lot and I can like get off track sometimes. So I'm glad to have someone recenter me and make sure I stick with the plan. I don't do too much, but I make sure it's still strong.
Hmm.
So those are the major people I really wanted to highlight.
Awesome. Fantastic. Well, if that is all for you, that is definitely all for me. And that will conclude this episode of the Cactus Patch. But before I give my closing on out, I do wanted to say, JJ, thank you so much for coming out onto the podcast to discuss your event. And thank you for hosting it. I mean, this was such an incredible event. We got to see highlighted for members of this competitive community that don't get a lot of opportunities to shine in tournaments that might be run from other orgs or other event holders in general. So I do want to just give a huge props and thank you to you.
Just thank you, Cactus. It means a lot. It really does. I'm just happy to be here. I always wanted to kind of run an event and like for it to be like I wanted to run an event not just to run one, but for it to actually have a purpose. So
Hmm.
I'm just so happy that it kind of delivered like and people are starting to see the vision. So I'm just thank you. I really appreciate that. I really am grateful. Like thank you.
Of course, absolutely. And I can't wait to keep my eyes out to see what else you put on. And I can't wait to see this grow more and more, especially with the way that hopefully the comp scene goes. Get more teams out
Hmm.
there and we're able to really just show their skill levels, create those rivalries and then those stories, and try to bring more life to the comp community.
Right.
So with that being said, then once again, thank you, JJ. That is all for me as well. So thank you all for tuning on in to this episode of the Cactus Patch. Thank you for supporting as always. We will see you in the next episode. Goodbye, everyone.